To the IHOP waitress.
Yes.
I've worked in service for over 20 years. As a cook, as a chef. And I took a dishwashing job about a year ago. And I was totally okay with that. And I never expected a tip. I gave out tips. I would say things like, don't slam the fucking plate. Or don't stack the ramekins because they're filled with shit and then they stick together and I gotta pry them apart. So now I'm gonna read a story. It's kinda new shit. I performed it once before, but I'm not so sure I've done it here. So I'm gonna give you a tip. It's the second chapter of my next book. It's called Socks and Sex.
Yes.
In that order.
Tip. Do not fuck the bartender. Now this is a rule that I learned as a young lad and have often espoused to other people, because after you fuck, you will fuck up and then you can't go back to the bar to get fucked up with your friends. You will be banished to a forbidden zone, wherein you have to go to the place down the block and hang your head in shame, even though you always tipped over 20% and you gave said bartender more than just the tip. You don't make me crack up. You don't fuck the bartender because they are the nexus, crux, cornerstone, and keystone of your social life. They put up with you and your pals, laugh at your jokes when you're happy, offer you advice when you're down, and most importantly, they have the power of the poor and the ability to skip a song on the jukebox. Do not fuck the bartender. Yet, as a man who preaches this ethos, I will readily admit that I have breached this cardinal carnal sin on numerous occasions, to consequences of varying degree. In one instance, the bar was called the Bellevue Alcohol Abuse Center. And if you're a New Yorker, you'll know that Bellevue is one of the most recognized hospitals in town. The jukebox was always playing a weird medley of Slayer and Johnny Cash. They hired Dancin' Dominic, a retired postal worker, to come by and shake his moneymaker every weekend. He was paid in beer. Horrible 80s porn was constantly playing on the TV sets. And the owner usually had one of his numerous customized hearses parked out front. My favorite was the one in gold tangerine peel with a white Landau top and leopard print interior.
Oh, fuck it.
Pimpin'. And every single guy in there had a crush on Lorianne, the absolutely beautiful blonde drop-dead siren who was slinging drinks. She had a filthy mouth and wasn't afraid to scream at you out of friendship or fuck-offedness. She would gladly climb on top of the bar, spin your skull around to cram your cranium in her cleavage, and dump Jose Cuervo fresh out of the bottle into your throat, while she hooped and hollered like a cowgirl who had just gotten her first orgasm courtesy of a leather saddle. And while I always flirted with her, I always repeated the mantra, do not fuck the bartender. And then after 4 years of patronage, the night happened. She leaned over the bar, after nervously glancing over both shoulders, grabbed my hand and purred lasciviously, I've always wanted to fuck the shit out of you. My shift ends at 4 a.m. What's your address? It was outstanding sex. And while she never wore much clothing during her bartending shifts, she was doubly stunning once undressed. And we both had multiple orgasms worthy of an epic poem recited by a blind Greek man. It was one of those fucks where you wish at the least there was a camera in the room, and at the most the 20 guys from the bar were standing around the bed to watch you harness the unicorn. But there was one thing. She never took off her socks. Now, a naked man with a raging erection in socks looks ridiculous. A gorgeous naked woman, however, is still a gorgeous naked woman, socks or no socks. Yet, I couldn't help but notice the feel of a cotton blend rubbing against my thighs and calves while we did exceptionally dirty things. My dad had once told me, and I still believe it, that you'll have nightmares if you sleep with socks on. So as she and I were drifting off to sleep while the sun was rubbing its eyes and rising for a day of work, I asked her about the socks. I'm really embarrassed of my toes. They're ugly. Sweetie, we just performed a multitude of magnificently horrific sex acts on each other's bodies. What are you worried about? Begrudgingly, she pulled off a sock with admittedly less flair than I had removed the condom and revealed a set of mangled toes worthy of a ballerina who had spent 80 years in point shoes. They looked like willow branches that had mated with a slinky and learned life lessons from a Cheeto. Picasso would have looked at those feet and said, I don't know where to begin. It took every ounce of my half-drunk, thoroughly exhausted ass to not say, damn, you got some gnarly claws and paws, bitch. But Mama raised a gentleman. So I said, you're gorgeous, and you should never be ashamed of your body. And I meant every word. She pulled her sock back on, I wrapped my arms around her, and we drifted off to sleep with smiles on our faces, as if the sheets had been doused in ether and smothered in erotic fan fiction. I had mastered the mythical beast, and it had monstrous metatarsals. But I still think she's a beautiful creature whom to this day, at the very least, I would embrace and smooch with a passion, even if she is doomed to a nightlife of socks and nightmares. If anybody wants a hug, I'm always available. I don't have any books on me right now, but I do have cards. I can give you my accounts. You can check me out online. Yeah. Whatever. We're all just trying to get by. Or get off.